I know you're probably not done with lunch yet, but we are running behind, so we want to kind of get going. You have the great opportunity to hear from me again. I gave a presentation down in St. George it was about last year. And my wife had the opportunity to come, and she said, after I gave my presentation, she got up and I said, well, how did, she's like, what, I just want you to know you did a great job, but boy, was that boring. I tried to explain to her, showing people websites is probably not the most dynamic material to work with, to start with, but I will do my best. So just to start off, were there, I showed a little bit yesterday. Today, is there any questions, or does anybody have any items that they were maybe unclear of, or would like to find out specifically how you would access something on our website? Someone's pointing out someone else.
Did you find the stuff in the rules that she asked?
Oh, so the question is, there was a question yesterday about the rules about a professional engineer having to submit 40-year plans, and that is not in the statute. So professional engineers do not have to submit 40-year plans, but it's highly recommended. Where's the hand back there?
Yeah, if you've got an ongoing change, how do you find that? That's actually a temporary change.
Okay, the question was, if you have a change, how do you find a change? That's a change that's been approved, but just ongoing, hasn't been perfected yet, or it's just in the process, right? So there's a couple different ways. Water rights, search, water right number. I want to kind of point this out. This kind of leads me to something else I wanted to talk about. Right here on this search page, it kind of gives a listing of all the different types of applications you can search for. Water right numbers. I think it was kind of mentioned before, the first two numbers of a water right number is the area that water right's located in, right? And then the 5 digits after that, up to 5 digits after that, is just a sequential number. Okay, thanks. Change numbers, permanent change numbers, start with a little a, and then it'll have a sequence of numbers behind that. So if you know your change number, you can then just type that change number in here, hit submit, and it'll bring up that given change. Right? Temporary changes are indicated with a small t first. So it'd have a little t and then a sequence of numbers. And that would be your temporary change number. So if you know that number, you can also submit that. And going down the list, exchange numbers. If it's an application to appropriate, they have a certain number, a diligence claim, an underground water claim, and those all start with the corresponding letter as shown here. So if you know those numbers, you can search for it that way. If you have a change application and you know your base water right number, you can search for the base water right, and it's listed on that. So say, like I used the example yesterday, 15-3130. It has a change application, and it's these two right here listed right at the top. It has two change applications. This one right here, A36614, has been filed and approved. So you can click on it, and you can see the process that it's in. Right now, it's approved, ready for the applicant to put that new works into place. And as soon as they do that, they would submit proof, and then we would go through the process of certificating that. Now, if you don't know any of those things, right, you can always go to map search and go to that given location, and it should show the points of diversions around that location. So let's get into one of these areas. So like right here, this is showing say this is your change application. It shows that point of diversion for that change application. It has that number, A33016, for that change. So if it's a little a with a number, that's a change point of diversion. If it's like 15, we're in the 15 area. That's the water right. Does that answer your question? Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I have a list of things to go through, specifics of things that we talked about today. Couple things from yesterday that I want to talk about again. Under water rights, rules/procedures, appropriation policy, use calculator. We talked a lot about these different types of uses and what they're quantified for the diversion and the depletion. This is a little tool that is available on our website that helps do those calculations for you. So if your duty was 4 and your depletion was 2, you can put in, I have 10 acres of irrigation. Oh, wait. This is one of those things I discovered today, that it does not work in Google Chrome. So I got to get fixed. So let's go over here. Water rights, rules, procedures, appropriation policy, use calculator. Okay. I put in, I'm going to have 10 acres, and it's going to show for that 10 acres, it's going to be 40 acre-feet of diversion and 20 acre-feet of depletion. Someone asked yesterday, how do I find out what my depletion numbers are for my area? If you click on this little link right here, it'll show you a map. We use the consumptive use study that was done. This is a link to that study. This shows all the different stations around the state where there was consumptive use for irrigation was calculated. So usually what we'll use is the station closest to your given irrigation. So if I click on one of these locations, it'll give me the information from that study that determines that depletion for irrigation for that area. Okay? And we use alfalfa, the net irrigation requirement. This is in inches. So this area here is 31.03 inches. So you divide that by 12. That would give you what your depletion is for irrigation in that area. Okay? Let's see. This calculator also, there was some questions about ELUs. You can calculate those ELUs right here. There's a little button to calculate that. You can say, I've got 100 horses and 50 llamas and some rabbits, and you can hit submit on that, and it'll convert that to the number of ELUs that equivalent would be. Okay? And you can do a bunch of different scenarios. You can change these base numbers and run through it all and help you to calculate what those diversion and depletions were depending on your use. So I wanted to show that. And then now I want to show there were some questions today about adjudication. Let's go back to our home page. Before I go to adjudication, I have a little plug here because it's a program that I've been managing. The legislature this last year, a couple years ago actually, they gave us the wonderful opportunity by mandating us to inventory all the canals in the state. So we are doing that. So if you are an irrigation company or own a city and you've been approached by one of my employees to help get a map of your canals, please help them. They have no ulterior motives. They are just trying to map those canals. Okay, we're steadily working through that. I think I already had the map up over here. You can see all the canals that we have already mapped. This actually, I think, will be a great resource to a lot of different organizations going forward, having a good inventory of where all the open canals of 5 CFS or greater capacity are in the state. So they're working through the whole state. A lot of work left to do, but they've done a lot. So, little plug there. Okay, adjudication. Someone asked about sort of the status of their adjudication, where it's at. We do have all the different adjudications listed throughout the state. by area, and you can select on those locations to see what the status of that given adjudication is at the time. The hydrographic survey maps are all available online that we have done. Over here, this far column here shows if we haven't, we have scanned them all, so those maps are available, but they haven't all been put in the real world where they go yet. So if they have, it'll say yes over here, and you click on this, and it'll actually take you to a map and overlay that hydrographic survey on that map for you. All right, so this one should do that. And if I turn the hydrographic survey map on, you can see it there. Yeah, so if it says yes over here, that means we've got that hydrographic survey on a map. If not, you can just download those maps as images to your own computer and get to do your own research on where they're at. But we're slowly working through that. We're getting a couple more yeses here. Just takes a lot of work to get all those rectified to their real world coordinates. And so as we get time, we do that. Proposed determinations, adjudication status. Yeah, any other questions about adjudication or accessing of information about adjudication? Like I said, it's a very large process. It's an all-inclusive. They take an area and they're gathering all those water rights and trying to get a good definition of them. And this is the process they go through, creating those maps and then publishing those rights in books. So, all right. So, I wanted to go through this menu right here, data. I had some questions yesterday about publications that we have. So there's a couple different ways to get at publications. One of the ways is go down here to our policy map and say you want more information about the Tooele area. You click on that and it'll give the general policies we have for that area. If there's a groundwater management plan, other policies, general things. And then at the bottom it lists all the technical publications that we have for that area. Now there could be more technical publications out there, but these are the ones that we've inventoried and have used to make different decisions with or help develop our policies. Okay, so those are critical publications. They're all available there online. Additionally, right here, data publications. We have a bunch of different studies. That consumptive use tables we talked about before, about the consumptive use of irrigation. This is another way to get at that study there. And then under here, view publications, there's just tons and tons of different publications, technical information that you can go through. The groundwater conditions report that Frank talked about earlier, you can click on that, hit list publications. These are all those groundwater conditions report for every year going back into the past, right? So that shows you how much groundwater has been estimated to be pumped from the different basins throughout the state. There's a lot of USGS reports, dam safety reports, proposed determinations around the state, just a lot of technical information that's all available there on our website. And it's not an all-inclusive list, but is the list that we've used in the past. Water right brochures I wanted to show because some people mentioned this flow chart that we have talking about our process. So it is available a little bigger than what you can see on your little tile there to zoom in, showing how the process works from one step all the way through. So that is available for reference. And then there's just some other general pamphlets and guides. You know, what do you have to do when you're owning a water right? What does administering a water right mean? What is the water rights process? You know, little pamphlets that we have available, paper copy up there, but they're also available on our website for further reference for you. Okay, that's the first thing. GIS and maps, I already showed a lot of the mapping capabilities that we have. if you have more technical capabilities, there is all that data that's on those maps that you see, right? All those points of diversions, that place of use, all of that stuff. That data is all available for you to download as well. If you're technical and want to get into it and do your own maps, you can download it from our website, and it's in shapefile format and also in KML format, which works in Google Earth. There's a lot of professionals that'll download that stuff, prepare their own Google Earth images and things like that to be used. These downloads, like we said, water rights are a dynamic process. Things are constantly changing. Things are happening. Points of diversions are getting, changes are being filed. So these are updated nightly. And so if you download it today, it'll have everything that happened as of last night. Okay? If you're really courageous, we actually have a way that you can actually download our whole database. Okay? And there are people that do that. Some people do it on a nightly basis. They download our whole database of information, and I don't know what they do with it, but they do something. I'm sure it's exciting. But there are people that will. And so if you want to do that, you can contact me, and I will show you how to get into that, to get that information as well.
James, there's a question from St. George.
Okay.
Probably you've already moved on beyond this, but they want to know, where is the consumption calculator?
Okay. So you go to Programs, Water Rights, Rules/Procedures, Appropriation Policy, Use Calculator. I'm sure that everyone's got that memorized now. Did you want me to do it again? So Programs, Water Rights, Rules/Procedures. Then there is Appropriation Policy. Then Use Calculator. Okay. This also has some other things here, just other general policies.
Can you search for it there anymore? Same way? Consumption calculator?
The question was, there's a little search tool up here. Can you just do a search on there on our website? And no, that's not going to work. That is one of the things I get requested all the time. Is there a way to search through your website to find all these things? And we've thought long and hard how to do that, and just haven't found a great way. Google's getting better and better at searching things. And let's just do a test. Water rights, use calculator. No, they're not quite that good yet.
I just did it on your search bar, and it was the first return.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Maybe they're better. That search bar is just using Google.
Yeah.
So this is Bing. Bing is definitely not in the way. Maybe I shouldn't say that. So under the Google search, I did a Bing search, didn't find it, but Google search found it. So we're looking at doing something like that, where we kind of embed some tags on our website to make the searching a little better. But at this point, it's not as good as we would hope. But okay, where was I? Okay, yeah. So downloading the GIS files. Going back here. I want to touch really quickly on just the location calculator again. There was a lot of talk yesterday about public land survey points of diversions, right? How you find those locations. They've got those grids and everything. We have a converter on our website. So you can take a UTM coordinate or a lat long coordinate or a state plane coordinate system or a public land survey coordinate system, and you can put it in, hit submit, and it will convert that coordinate to all the other coordinate systems, or back and forth. Right? You can hit map, and it'll put that on a map, so you can find it. This is not to replace a survey, right? Official survey from a monument corner, but it is an estimate of where that location is. Okay. Let's go back to here. Okay, before I get into flow records and groundwater, I wanted to show, we had a lot of talk about water shares in an irrigation company versus a water right. So under search, there is a list of water companies and entities in the state. Okay, now this is not an all-inclusive list, but it is a list that we have generated over the years. And what we've tried to do is, for a given county, it'll populate all of the companies, water companies in that county. So, and then this list shows the base water rights for that company, right? And if there have been any shares of stock in that company that people have filed change applications on. They haven't filed them on the base water rights, but on shares. Okay, and then if they've had any exchanges that have been filed on that company, and if there's any water rights that are supplemental to water in that company. Now this is just a very new list, and so it's being developed and grown. It's not all inclusive. So you can't say, yeah, I know American Fork Irrigation Company, that this is all their water rights, these are all the shares that change application has been filed on, this is all the water rights that are supplemental. But we're starting to build that list. So if you're one of these companies, we would love to have you help us get this cleaned up and all the history. Anything new we're putting into this list, but all the history is not there. So like I just clicked on one, Utah Lake Distributing Company. This is the current president of the company. This is their base water right. These are how many change applications have been filed on shares in the irrigation company. Right? Whole lot. They haven't had any exchanges. These are water rights that we have record that are shown that are supplemental to the water rights in this company. Okay, so that's a way to kind of find that data. If you have clients or what you're working with irrigation companies, this is the first place to start to try to start gathering your research. Okay, I wanted to show that. I'm going to close some of these. Okay. Wells, Jim Goddard showed that yesterday, so I won't go in that again, but we do have a very comprehensive list of all the wells in the state that have been drilled, all the well logs that have been submitted by the well drillers. You can search for those. They're all scanned into the website. You can find any well log in the state that we have a record of, right? There's a lot of wells that have been drilled before we were keeping those records, but since with that time, we have kept all those records and they are available there online. Groundwater. There were some questions yesterday about areas that are open to appropriate versus not. Most surface water systems are fully appropriated in the state, right? The Colorado River Basin has some available. The Bear River could be considered that it has some available, but most of them are fully appropriated. Groundwater systems are a little different. So this is the groundwater policy for the state. Anything marked in red here is closed to new appropriations, right? So if you want to get a water project going in one of those areas, you in that area have to buy a right from somebody else and get a change application moving it to your use, okay? Outside of those areas, anything marked in yellow, there is an opportunity to do something there for a new appropriation, but it's very limited. Usually limited to just a small domestic filing, just a small amount of water. Areas that are marked in green have opportunities for things that are larger than that, for groundwater filings. Okay? Additionally, these areas that are marked in blue, these little dots, these are areas where we have what we call groundwater management plans, where we're actually have a plan of how we're going to regulate the use of the groundwater in those areas. Usually what that means is we've determined how much total water on average is available from that groundwater system on a long-term basis on average, and we've limited to say this is how much we'll allow to be diverted from that groundwater basin. That's what those groundwater management plans in general do for those areas. Okay, and these are a list of all the groundwater management plans, and you can look at all of them and see specifically what they do. So if you're in one of these areas, you can see what that groundwater management plan is for that area. We talked about recharge and recovery projects very briefly. There's not many, but this lists where those recharge and recovery projects are, and you can get more information about those. There is a tool I want to show that we have. Actually, I'm going to go back here. I brought it up in another website, so I knew it would work. Groundwater models, right? So people have developed groundwater models. The USGS or UGS have developed groundwater models to help us understand the groundwater system and the impacts that pumping would have on other water-related uses. And so there's a list of all the groundwater models that we have had either developed or paid to get developed. And so these are all available online. If you want to have your own modeler take this information and run your own scenarios, you can do that. One of the things that we have done, I'm going to go to this other browser so we can show it here. Groundwater model simulation tool. So we actually have a tool on our website that shows where these groundwater models are, okay, that we have incorporated into this tool. You can select one of these areas, and I've done that here. I selected the Southern Utah model. Uh-oh. Here, I'm going to turn off the points of diversions for right now. Okay, we're down here in near Woodland Hills, just south of Salem. And you can see here as I zoom back out, here is the boundaries of this groundwater model. What I've done here is I've gone in and said, hey, I'm going to have a new well be applied to be drilled here and water to be taken. So I'm going to submit an application. So I've gone in and clicked that point right there and said this is where they're going to drill it. They're going to divert 1,000 acre feet. All right, that's a lot. From 200 to 300 feet deep, somewhere in that range. And I can hit this button, hit run simulation. So it's going to put that new well in our groundwater model. It's going to run a simulation and determine what the impact of that new well is in that area. Okay, so I already ran that because it takes a minute or so to run. And it shows here, if you come down here, I ran that. And I'm going to turn the points of diversions back on now. And it shows if I had a well there that was pumping about 1,000 feet. I'm going to open this simulation. I could expect to see these contours of about 30 feet of drawdown right here, and then going out about 15 down to about negligible drawdown about there. Okay? So then I can see what wells around that new drawdown could potentially be impacted by that development. Okay? The other thing I can do with this is, I'm going to zoom back out. I can generate what's called a path line. So I hit start generating here, and I'm going to put a point right here. And it's going to say, I zoom in too far, a little bit. It's going to show me, okay, if I had a particle of water right there, where that well is, where would it have come from? And where would it eventually go if I had not captured it, based on that groundwater model? Now it's not responding. Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. I know what I need to do. Okay, so you can see that particle water was recharged out in the mountains and it came down, flowed through the aquifer. Could have been captured by my well, but if not, it would have naturally gone down and flown and been discharged here probably to Salem ponds there, right? Okay, that's not saying that's what's actually going to happen. The groundwater are very complex, but that is something that is possible to happen in this system. Say my well was over here, right? I can put another particle in over here, and it would show, okay, this is where the recharge happened. It would go out and be discharged out here probably to some evaporation from native vegetation or whatnot. Okay, so how we use this in division of water rights is if we get applications in for a new well, for a new location, and we think there might be some controversy, we'll have a protest on it or whatnot, we can run a very simple, quick analysis to determine, hey, based on this application, are we going to see any impacts to other wells in the area? Are we going to see where this water maybe could be captured from? Now, we're not saying that this is like set in stone, that's what's going to happen, but it'll at least give us a very quick and easy determination to be able to research it more in depth later. So we'll look at it and say, okay, hey, yeah, you know what? There's a lot of people protesting this application right around here. Maybe they have some justification for that protest because it is showing that there could be some drawdowns. Or Salem Ponds has protested an application that we might be impacted by that new development that's going on above us. Oh, that could be the case. Let's look at it more carefully. But if someone way over here says, I'm going to be impacted by that drawdown, we would say, you know what? Probably our initial indication that's probably not going to be the case. So that's what we sort of use that program for. Now, I am out of time, but I want to show real quickly, because I know there's some questions about it on the test. Under here, we also store all of our flow and diversion records. So when we go to flow records, Frank talked about records for public water suppliers, right? If you click on here, click on water use data, we have a list of all of our public water suppliers that hopefully will generate. And you can scroll through them here. You can click on any one of these public water suppliers throughout the state. Arches National Park is a public water supplier. And you can see their use, right? Their connections, their total use that they've reported to us, and each of their sources and how much they've pulled from those sources. Okay, you can do that for every public water supplier. Additionally, going back, we have flow records for our distribution systems. Right? Jared talked about how we have commissioners on each system and they're recording everybody's usage and sending them so much water or cutting them off. We have all those water records in our system. Every river system that we have here, this is a list of them. If you drill down into these river systems like Weber River, these are all the diversion structures that we have records on. So I can go down into, I'll just click on the first one, daily values table. Hopefully I clicked on one that had actual records. Oh, looks like not. Interesting. Shows that it does. Oh, there we go. Right, so this is from 1948. This is how much this one was diverting on May 1st or July 1st, 1.9 CFS. Right, going all the way down through our records to today, 2015, July 1st, 4.1 CFS. Right, all those records are available on our website of all of those diversions throughout the years. Additionally, we have real-time records of water measurement. And so these are all the records that we have real-time. That other website is showing all the records that we have. This one is all the records we have that are real-time. By real-time, I mean there's an electronic equipment there that's actually radioing or using cell information to transmit that data to our website within minutes, 15 minutes usually is the interval that we have to get that data on our system. I think I have a map of that just so I think that'd be interesting. Let's see. Maybe I don't. I don't see it there. Huh. Showing all of the different real-time systems that we have. Maybe that's only available if you're logged into the website, an employee. I'll have to change that. But I am out of time. Is there any more questions about our website? Where to access data? I have some cards here. I'll put them over next to the sandwiches that nobody ate. So you can grab a sandwich and a card. If you have any other questions or want any other information how to access anything, please let me know. And specifically, if you have ideas or ways to improve our website or find problems with our website, please let me know. We want to get those things fixed as well. So with that, I will close. If there's no questions, we'll go into Boyd's presentation. So thank you.